Welcome to the second episode of the Indulge in Yourself podcast. How do you feel today, Alyssa?
I'm thrilled to be here.
I'm thrilled to be here. We recently just saw our first ever episode, and what are your thoughts? What do you think?
I think this is gonna be big.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be good.
I
think we have so much more to offer and give, which is why today we are jumping into the signs from heaven. And if you don't know what that means, you're gonna know what it means, why you should listen, and all of that good stuff by the end of today. So when we had a little mini watch party. Just gonna be real. Of our first episode before
a mini watch party.
That's
a great way to describe that.
And after the watch party, your dad was kind of like, you know what this reminds me of? And he shared a dream he had, which hit what we were trying to say spot on.
Yeah.
If you want to share his dream, and I think that's how we should start off today.
I don't really remember.
Okay, you don't remember the dream. Okay, I'm gonna share the dream, guys. So basically,
wait, just a little side note. My dad, I think, is the reason why I'm definitely a little bit more deeper.
Yeah.
Like he's
very deep.
The things I feel like that we're already saying and
he
trying
needs to be
to
on this.
He already knows this stuff.
Yeah. He's gonna be on this podcast one day for sure.
Yeah, and don't mind me if I'm low key eating my sushi.
Yeah, if you're on the video version of the podcast, if you go to YouTube, we have sushi here today. And sweet teas. Can we talk about if you guys
really
go to
quick?
Caputo's?
No, honestly, not even just that, but don't ever in your life pay $3.50. What? This is probably 16 ounces?
Not even. This is 1 cup of sweet tea. Just go buy the gallon.
From Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, seriously.
Done that.
They charged us $7-something for 2 sweet teas, and it's tiny. Again, video
we
version.
We were looking at each other
I know that's not real.
But it so was, because as you handed your card, I was like, Jocelyn, you're paying $7
for sweet tea.
Honestly, though,
it's good.
No, it's really good. It's so worth it, but
little did Caputo's know they'd end up in our podcast for doing
that. And I'm
that.
no longer purchasing your sushi, unless I'm eating it.
Your sushi?
Did I say sushi? Okay,
Guys,
I would never stop purchasing it.
I don't think everyone knows what a sushi is.
I didn't say Susie. I said sushi.
I heard you'll stop purchasing your Susie. Guys, Susie was what our parents called our private parts as a female growing up.
No, I think that was only us.
It was both of our parents for some reason. They'd be like, "You're Susie, make sure you clean it." And Alyssa's gonna stop purchasing Caputo's Susie.
I just snorted.
On the
I hope that was great.
Yeah. Anyways, sorry. You know what? F this. I'm jumping into your dad's dream. I'm going to let him know what it was. So.
Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know really quick that I'm not going to I will stop purchasing Caputo sweet tea, but I will never stop purchasing Caputo's sushi.
Never. Sushi. Okay.
All right, why don't you just jump right into it so I can eat a Baltimore roll, please?
She's going to eat it. Hopefully your eating sounds don't
Side note, if you're not dipping your sushi in Yum Yum sauce, this is your sign to do so.
Yeah, you're doing it wrong. I don't even use Yum Yum sauce, so I don't know why I said that.
On here.
Okay, so her dad had this dream, basically. He had this dream that, when he woke up, he was in deep angst. I don't know if that's a word. I think that means, anxiety, right? He was in deep angst, and basically the dream was that he was old, about to die, and Alyssa was old, his daughter, and he was just sad because he felt like in the dream when he woke up, the dream made him feel this overall unusual anxiety that was just kind of
he missed something.
Yeah, he missed something. He missed out on something. He didn't do enough, and then he was like, "Oh shit, I'm at the end of my life now. There's nothing I can do now. Alyssa's old. I'm old," and he just didn't feel he was ready to be at end of life. Which he brought that dream up to us when we showed him our first podcast episode at the mini showing, which was exactly right on what the point we were making. I think was.
I definitely think it got across.
It got across to someone who understood it. But when he shared that dream, he was like, when I woke up from that dream, it was almost like a dream that was sent to me for a very specific reason. And he was like, honestly, it changed my life. He was like, I live life differently now. Every day I kind of live it and really try to be present and really try to be there because I don't want to end up in the position. It was almost like the dream was this foreshadowing of if you continue with life this way, this is what you're going to end up feeling. Right. But it's also this dream that kind of, I don't know if anyone else has had it. I've had dreams like this, which it just shifts the way you're living your life because you're it just gives you this foreshadow that makes you be like, oh shit, I'm
sure
changing.
everybody watching right now, and not just like us, have had a
dream
where
that was
you wake up
influential.
and you're like, oh my god, thank God. Like, thank God it wasn't real.
But
you know
he had the thank God moment, but he also was like, it genuinely was almost like that
changing,
like it was almost like the dream
for him.
The dream was sent to him by, an angel or whatever it could be, however that works. It wasn't from him. It was almost like this warning or this sign from someone else.
I would love to know around the time that happened.
Yeah, I would,
Be very curious, but
anyways. So getting into that, it kind of made me think about psychic dreams. And I've done a little, I don't know, have you really...
I started to laugh again about earlier, I'm sorry.
Huh?
I started thinking about me watching this video back and I started laughing again.
Guys, psychic dreams. And I think Alyssa can speak a little bit more on this, but I've definitely had those. A psychic dream is essentially like a dream that you get that either comes true in the future or maybe it was sent to you from a loved one to stop you or lead you in a certain direction. And I know... Yeah, and I know I've had some, not really big ones though. Like I've had a dream of like something that happened at work and then it happened 2 weeks later and like a small detail brought it back to me and I was like, oh my God, I dreamt about this. Like don't know why. Yeah. But I know you have had like you've had a lot of dreaming experiences even from when you were young.
Yeah. I mean, I do think that I've always been like a very, very vivid dreamer. And when I was about to be graduating from aesthetic school, I basically just had one of my classmates. She was like kind of very intuitive, and she came up to me and she kind of said some things to me, and I knew it was my pop. And I started finding all these dimes, other things, whatever, and then I started just having more vivid of dreams. Like I felt like almost like they were meaning something. Now my whole life, like I said, like I've had all these vivid dreams. I'm saying this specific time, I knew
it was coming from
something else.
Yeah.
And I knew it was my grandfather, like, gutly, like, I knew. Yeah. But, like, I didn't, like, go around being like, oh, my God, like.
Is there, like, a dream that you definitely remember right now? Like, if someone was like, oh, my God, give me an example. Like, is there one that's top of mind?
It's so weird.
Yeah.
But, like, my, sorry, I'm going to pull this up on my phone really quick just so I make sure I get my facts right because, so when I have these really crazy, weird psychic dreams, I would say, or I feel like it's my grandfather coming through or somebody, I will write them down. I don't know, I just had this dream about my grandfather, and it was literally like we were in the house that, him and my grandmother, lived in.
Yeah.
And I was just upstairs, like, where I feel like I usually would be as, like, a child.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know, I just, like, I heard him choking downstairs.
Ooh.
And it was so weird. Like, it was, like, almost like an instant, like, oh, my God, you have to go help him. And I came downstairs, and I was helping him, and, like, he was just, like, kind of, like, slapping the table, almost like he was choking something up. And he was like, no, it's okay, Liz, I'm fine, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I'm like, are you sure? And he's like, no, I'm fine. He's like, you really got to watch out for that. And I'm like, watch out for what? He's like, you know what I'm talking about. And I'm not talking about the choking type of thing.
Watch out for what?
I don't know. And then, like, it was, like, right after he got it up, because I remember after he got it up, he was like, oh, fuck. You really got to watch out for that. And I was like, watch out for what? And, like, ever since then, like, I've never really knew what he meant. So I'm not sure, but
you're watching out for something.
Yeah, and then obviously the one about your father.
Yeah, we could share that too. So I guess the one about my father, I don't know if it was I guess it was a psychic dream. Alyssa had it, and it's really not funny, but just true that when my dad was living, I would tell him a lot about Alyssa and experiences she had. I mean, she's an open book. We can talk a lot about throughout this podcast. But as far as, like, your experiences and stuff, but...
I mean, that might not have been the best one I could give, but that was, like, the first one that came to mind, so it kind of scared me.
Well, it's kind of still up in the air. You don't know what it means. Unless you were, it did I don't know. Maybe it was something that was going on in your life. But it's like when you wake up from a psychic dream, you know it's not a regular dream.
But you ever wake up from a dream and you feel like you remember it, but you can't. I feel like there's a part of it I was missing.
Yeah.
There was something on the table he was, like, insinuating. It doesn't matter, but all I know is when I have these dreams about him and he's talking to me in the same voice and I can see his face and, like...
You know it's really
And then the next day, my pop, I feel as if he brings me, like, dimes. I find them, like, everywhere. Usually after I have these typical dreams and things that are kind of important in my life, I find a dime.
So it's like a confirmation.
To me. Like, you know what I mean? It's something I keep to myself.
Mm-hmm. But the one with my dad, when my dad was living, I told him a lot about Alyssa and her experiences. So I knew when he passed, I think I wasn't open enough to receive a dream from him or anything like that, just because
there's a lot going on.
The dreams in my head were not good, let's say the least. Like, I had, PTSD dreams of the passing and stuff like that. still to this day, but it was like every night for a while. So I think that was my own head thinking that. So I wasn't open enough, like even if he was trying to give me a dream, I think you really have to be at a peaceful state to get those dreams, because if your own anxieties and fears and stuff creep in there.
Honestly, pause really quick, because in one of the books that I've read, they basically said that like they actually like just communicate with you when you're kind of like in your happiest moments, because why would they want to like, you know what I mean? They don't want to
unless they're leading you out of like
something bad or like trying to like
and also we don't realize that like when we're letting anxiety or fear or depression or what get to us, like we're also, that's taking over your brain. You don't have the capacity, I feel like, to let in all these other signs or dreams or whatever it is, even if they're trying to reach out to you. But anyways, so I knew my dad knew, like, I knew if he passed, the first person he would visit in a dream is you, which I was not wrong. It was literally a day or two after his passing, and Alyssa called me and was like, I have to tell you something.
Mind you, I really didn't want to tell her that I had this dream because it felt so funny.
But it wasn't a funny time.
But I know it wasn't funny. It felt
I know,
happy, and I just felt like it was too soon, but I felt like I wanted to let you know
that he was there.
Because I was like, what if it means something to her?
Yeah. So I know when he passed, my mom was messaging my dad, like texting him on the phone, obviously to his cell phone, like just messages she wanted him to know and stuff. But my mom's very logical. She's not a believer, I would say, and I could tell that like even though she was messaging him these messages, it didn't feel like my dad was really there reading the messages. Now, I knew about that, clearly didn't tell anybody about that, but then the next day, Alyssa calls me, and she's like, I had this dream, and it was your mom on the phone, and I just saw the back of your mom on the phone, but I knew it was your mom, and I didn't see your dad, but it was your dad's voice, and he was, like, standing over my shoulder, and I guess you do the impression of what my dad said, because you...
Like, honestly, the best way I can describe it was, like, how I was telling her earlier, it was almost like a Willy Wonka, like, when they're like starting to shrink people into those mini televisions or whatever, and it's like just a white room. It was like I was in a white room and all I could see was her mom and her bangs. It was almost like she was sitting sideways, just like so distracted on her phone, had no idea was standing there or him. Yeah. And then I knew who she was, so I knew who was talking, if that makes sense. Like that was just like an intuition. I just knew it was him. I don't know how, I just know. And he was just like like, I can't even explain. I was like, he, like, laughed it off. Yeah, chuckled it off in the beginning. It was just like, she thinks she can't even hear me right now. Almost like he put his hand over my shoulder, like, she thinks he can't even hear me right now. Yeah. Like, look at her, almost type of thing. And then he's like, I can hear everything she's saying and doing.
Yeah.
And like, it was just kind of like...
And I feel like Alyssa probably had no clue where that dream was coming from, but I knew when my dad visited you in that dream, it's really what he wanted that message to get back to my mom, because my mom was literally sitting there messaging him and probably was like, but he's not here. Like, he's not really reading it. And I also know 100% it was my dad because of the way, like, his personality was. Like, the chuckling and, like, oh, she can't even hear me. Like, that is how my dad would be up in heaven, like, saying that exact thing. You know what I mean? Like, there's no mistake on that. That dream happened, which I think was, I was like, dang, like, psychic dreams are really a thing. And a couple other people have had dreams about my dad. I know I've had dreams that, like, weirdly come true, probably for my whole life. And, like, those little things, like, when you're in that dream state, really... like, I feel like that's when you connect the most to maybe the other side or to your intuition. So psychic dreams tell us something, whether it's about us now, a past life, those we love in heaven, what's coming up, whatever.
Yeah, like, what has happened to you that has been so... And you don't even have to give too much detail, but, like, we love to hear.
Always feel free to either put a topic you want us to discuss or give us a story, and we'll bring it up here if you're fine with that.
I mean, we don't have to use names or anything,
but like, that's just so interesting.
That, like, come in here, and it's not just us to think this. Like, there's a lot of my clients where, I mean, we've had these conversations, you know, they've lost people, so it's, I'm sure somebody that's watching, whether it's one person or two, is like, oh my God, this is so happened to me.
Yeah, and then on top of dreams, there's, like, signs. And I know you were the one that brought up signs to me with the book Signs. If you haven't read the book Signs, you need to. But essentially, it just talks about how, like, when your loved one passes away, they're always around you. They hear everything you say. I just got chills right now. And they'll send you signs. And you just have to be, like, nothing in this life is a coincidence. Things, like, you're always receiving signs, and you just have to notice them. But sometimes you get them more than others. And you opened me up to that whole idea.
You literally just brought a memory back to my
what?
time. On my 20th birthday. When around the time, actually, Nick can vouch for this, my dad and my mom, because we're all at Cheesecake Factory. How do you remember?
You told me, and I always remembered it.
Oh.
You should share it, though.
No, it's really special because All I know is my papa was giving me signs all day. I was graduating from Bon Lee. It was just a whole shebang of a great day, right? It was the next day was my birthday, and as I was blowing out my candles, I really wasn't the happiest, by the way, when I was blowing out my candles because something had happened. I'm not even going to get into it, but it was just, like, not a good blowing out of candles. I don't know, whatever. And as I was blowing it out, this big drop just came and, like, splashed in my eye. And, like, my dad saw it, and me and my dad said at the same time, we were like, oh, my God, it's like Pop's crying because I'm, like, not a teenager anymore.
Yeah.
I'm, like, an adult, you know?
And like, why would you say that at the same time?
And then, like, you know, I'm sitting there this whole time. You know, it's dessert. So it's like, you know, I've been sitting there this whole time eating appetizers, dinner.
Yeah.
I should have felt something drip at the end. Yeah, I don't know.
No, just drip. And, and it's like...
But it's like, those are the things when you, like, that's your first instinct was like, oh, my God, it's my pop.
Yeah,
then
that's when you
it's
know.
Your pop. Like, don't even try to, like, rationalize.
No,
you do that for a while, I think, when it first starts happening.
Yeah, you try to be like, oh, no, it's just this and that. And if other people hear your signs, like, there's going to be people that are like, oh, my God, it just leaked from the ceiling. Like, other people won't understand it because it's not a sign to them. Unless they're open. Like, I feel like we're very open. We're always like, yes, it's a sign. Because everything is a sign, okay? That's something I've learned. But
I don't really
it's
feel like
almost
we're here.
like, it's almost like, when it's your sign or you're meant to know it,
Yeah.
you just do. You just have that overwhelming,
it's just like a gut feeling.
But what's the first time, like, when did you first start receiving, like, really strong signs that you kind of realized was, like, a real, start having that, like, what the F is happening?
So my grandfather died in October of 2017. I truthfully believe, it's so weird, but, like, literally probably around, like, anywhere from, like, October to the time that I graduated to, like, October of 2019 to March of 2020. It was around that time where, like, I had to make up this time for school, which is just all, like, a chain of events. But just know that I had to make up this freaking time. It was, like, a week's worth of time. So I was in school for a straight week from 9 a.m. to 10. And I got put in this class that I really wasn't supposed to be in. And she was like, you can just, like, read a book if you want. And one of the girls in my class gave me the science book. So I was like, you know what?
I'm going to read it.
I'm going to read it. And then it just kind of, like, progressed from that, from, like, you know, how the book kind of teaches you to, like, you know, if you really believe that you're getting signs, you should genuinely ask for things that you know that you and your loved one possibly know.
And I've
and
noticed
then you
it's
just
like,
start,
it's like an open door. Like, once you open that door and you show, like, I want the sign, they just start flowing. You read the book about signs, and then... And
it basically, it talks about something about oranges. So I was, like, just jokingly, like, oh, like, Pop, bring me an orange. Like, that second. And probably, like, 10 minutes later, like, we used to, at least this class, I don't know why, but they would take a break and walk around the school. Yeah. Twice. It was, like, a thing. Like, my class doesn't do that because we're at night, so, like, it's not safe. So they were like, we're taking a walk, do you want to go? And I was like, no, I'm fine. And then I was like, I'll just go. Because I'd asked for 3 signs. Yeah. And I was like,
so basically the book is like literally, I think you wrote it in your phone, but, like, ask your loved one, send me this, send me this, send me this.
But it was just so weird because I read the oranges, so I was like, I'm just going to ask for an orange. And when they asked me if I would go, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to use the bathroom. Like, hop down on the seat because I'm so short. And I, like, hopped down and, like, walk into the bathroom, and this girl just, like, out of her lunchbox just pulls an orange out and, like, slammed it on a table. It, like, caught my attention. I was like, oh, that's weird. Yeah. I was like, okay, Pop. I was like, if you're serious, give me 2 more signs because that's 3 oranges. And you know, like, 3, 3, 3 is, like, our thing. So I asked for 3 oranges. So I already got 1, I guess, right? And the bathroom come out, and as I'm walking to meet the class, there was 2 other girls from another class going to walk with us. And she literally was holding, I mean, I guess technically they're not oranges, but they were clementines. 2 of them.
Those are oranges.
And I literally looked at them. I was like, okay, it's a joke. Continued my life. And then I had this client. I'm going to skip a little bit. Client, I meant friend in my class. I had this friend in my class who actually, she had a stroke. It was kind of, like, crazy because it was, like, all this energy going on, and it kind of, like, she's a very spiritual person. She had a stroke, and she was in the hospital for a little while, I think, and then when she came back to class, we somehow both made up time on the same day. I was walking back to the break room, and she was in there, and her face was still kind of, like, recovering from, like, the stroke or whatever, and I remember her saying, I don't know if she was saying she couldn't eat certain things or what, but she just had to have soft stuff. And I'd ask my pop to give me a sign, like, I don't know, bring a pear up in, like, a weird way.
Just something so random.
Because pears are my favorite fruit, and he knows that. And then I asked for a button, because me and my grandmother, which is his wife, used to collect buttons all the time. So I was like, a button, that's a good one. So I talked to her, and, like, as I'm talking to her, she just, like, took it almost the same way the orange happened, where it just kind of takes it out and, like, caught my attention. I was like, oh, my God. I was like, that's a pear. And I was like, oh, my God, I have to tell you about this. I asked for a pear, and that's so weird. Like, what the fuck, you know? And I told her about the button, too. Yeah. And then literally this girl from another class comes in, and she's, like, talking to us as she's buttoning up, like, her
Sure.
like a uniform, and literally like as she was buttoning it, a button like kind of flew off and fell right between me and my friend, and I was just kind of like looking at her. She's looking at me. She's like, "Oh my god!" Just like the button, like what the fuck? And I'm just like, I know.
Like, this is getting weird. And then ever since then, you've received pennies and dimes.
And I saved them all.
From, like, as a sign.
Yeah, actually, after we recorded the last video, I was sweeping in between clients, and there was a dime sitting right behind this couch.
Yeah. So I would challenge anyone, like, watching this, like, go ask for signs, see what happens, be open to it, make it something specific enough where it's not just like, oh, if I see a bird today, like, of course you're going to see a bird. But when you get the sign, you'll know you get it.
And I mean, I feel like also, like, it doesn't have to be just for, like, loved ones. Like, even if it's just for, like, guidance from just the universe in general, like, you're having a hard time with something, you're having in this, just be like, you know, look, like, you need to be really serious about it, and just, like, and you can't tell everybody about it. You just have to kind of, like, keep it to yourself, talk to yourself, and, like, you have to be on that very, like, zen level to just kind of be like, I just need some help, I need some guidance, like, give me a sign to show me which way I should go.
The thing is,
I don't know.
You have something destined for you in this life. And you know in your intuition, like, certain things you're drawn to, or, like, your intuition knows, but we get so blocked. But intuition is such a real thing. If you go after something that your intuition is telling you to do, and you trust it purely, it's gonna be good. And sometimes those things are blocked, but we all are guided by, you know, we're all guided in this lifetime, and you can literally, to maximize your life, or, you know what path to take, because life gets stressful, like, you can ask for that guidance, and I think that gives us all peace. Like, it gives me peace to know that.
I definitely feel...
Just be like, I don't know, you know, should I do this or should I do that? Give me a sign that I, like, of what path I should take. Whatever it could be. And you'll notice if you really, like, you know, it'll catch you at the most random time, but you will get a pretty clear sign of, like, where you need to be.
I do believe that it's a kind of larger concept to grasp. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, oh my god, I watched this video, I'm like... universe, can I please have a sign that blah blah blah, but like, it's more like, okay, you know that there's a possible way that you can, like, kind of what's it called, bring yourself to a little bit more of a comfortable setting,
like, and just yoga, meditation, or
be very calm. Like, I don't know what it is, like, just kind of like take some notes from, like, our last video and taking some time to really appreciate some of the smaller things. And then I feel like once you're kind of like starting to do something like that more, where you're like appreciating the small things and you're understanding, and you feel like you're on the right path, but you don't really know which way to go, type of thing. I feel like that's when. Yeah,
it has to come. Like, it's not like you're just going to sit there. I mean, maybe you can. But I feel like you usually have to be in that very, like, you're connected to your inner self place. Like, you're not just, we can't just sit here and be like, Lord, if you want me to, like, you know, go home tonight, give me a sign right now, and, like, something's going to pop in front of my face. No. Like, no, it's very...
It's almost going to happen when you, like, I mean, you know it's coming, but it's not going to be something you have to look for.
No, you don't have to look for it.
A weird question, though, just really quick, because there's going to probably be some people out here that, not to be rude, but some people don't lose their loved ones in the best ways, or, like, something's tragically happened, and it's hard for them to understand where you're coming from, because they're just like, I just don't understand how this could happen. How is this something that was supposed to be good?
You know my life, saying? Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think it's about that. I think it's just about understanding that, like, I guess kind of like whatever had happened, finding clarity and peace in that. I mean, making something better out of it for yourself, because you're still here, and that person that isn't here, or that event that happened that might have changed your life, already had happened, and you can only make it better from...
Yeah. And you have to understand, like, trust me, if you're in the boat of, like... I'm in that boat of, like, this is not good. How could it happen, like, with my dad? So young and so sudden, in the way we had to watch him pass. But the thing is, I've had people reach out to me, whether it's through a dream, whether it's a psychic, whatever, about my dad, and have gotten so much stuff, like, just so correct. And, like, the biggest thing he's told literally every single psychic that's came to me, every single person that's like, I feel like your dad's telling me this, I've had this dream about that, is always like, he's on the other side, he's fine, he's happy, he has no regrets, he lived his life, and he doesn't want us to cry, he doesn't want us to sit here and, you know, dwell over it or be mad over it. And it's just like, I lived a good life, and I'm always here. This is another thing he said, was like, I'm always going to be your dad, I'm always here. Like, that should give us, like, to move forward, like, something that's so tragic on earth, I feel like, that you're like, how could this happen? Like, he's on the other side doing really well, whatever that means, right? Like, he doesn't want us to live like that because he lived his life and now he's happy up there. So he's like, live your life. I'm still here. We're the ones
we're gonna meet
missing
again, wherever,
that.
why ever.
If you are also the person that's like, are they even listening to me? Like, that's my dad. He's probably the closest person in my life. And, like, sometimes I do catch myself when I'm not, like, very zen. I'm like, oh, my God. Like, what? He's not listening to me. Like, but I'll tell you, I was going to this medium. It was, like, a group class. It wasn't sure that my dad was going to come through or anything. But something in me, my intuition, I had this knowingness, right? I've been there before, but I had this knowingness that my dad was going to not only come through, but be the first person to come through. I had this 20-minute walk to my car before I hopped on this Zoom call with, like, the group medium reading. And I was like, let me just talk to my dad and tell him things that I want him to answer. Like, this list, like, talking out loud, looked like a crazy person talking to myself. But I was talking to my dad, and I knew he knew that. And I kind of gave this list of, like, 5 questions or whatever. And then I was like, if you say nothing else, I just love you. Just tell me you love me, right? So I hop on the call. First things first, she's like, we're starting with Mike. She, like, gives his passing, tells me everything that happened. And then I started catching on. She was answering that talk I had with my dad, the 5 things. She was answering it in order, word for word. Like, and it was like my dad was sitting up there with a list. Then at the end of it, she was like, he's leaving, honey. Did you... She said, were you talking to your dad and you told him to come first? Because he said, Kelly, she was telling me she was having that conversation. And I was like, that was validation to me. Like, that conversation I had with him beforehand. I was like, yep, like this, it's no joke. I literally was just talking out loud and, like, my dad was there. Like, I didn't have to do a ritual to make him come. I didn't have to be, like, I wasn't zen. And then he ended the call off. And that's when I, like, knew it was real. Because at the end I said, if nothing else, just say you love me. And she said, he just keeps saying I love you more. And then he was gone on his way.
Perfect.
But it's like, that was clarity for me of, like, the passing was horrible. My dad fought to the very end and wanted to be here so badly. But
it's comforting.
Yeah. So, Alyssa.
What?
You know what I'm going to ask. It's the end of the podcast.
I got put on the spot again.
Yeah.
I have to start thinking more.
You do.
Better for this.
What is your... I guess I could go first since I didn't go first last time and give you more time.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe yours will kind of, like, jog.
Okay.
Or
yeah. So, obviously, we're talking about signs from heaven. We talked about loved ones who passed or just following your intuition. And I feel like, what can this show us about tackling our week this week? What can this do? One, have peace in this and the way life goes. When things aren't perfect or something tragic does happen, we all are dealing with some sort of grief or whatever. Have peace in knowing there's a bigger purpose and a bigger plan, and there's another side, whatever that is to you, and that on that other side it's okay. And that when if you're dealing with grief, the person is there. But as far as, like, what is our purpose on earth then? You know what I mean? Like, if this other side is so great, yeah, like, if this other side's so great, why am I here on earth? You know, maybe we don't necessarily know, but I
feel
think
like because it's such a larger concept than I think our brain can
understand
or handle.
Yeah.
And I don't really think
anybody
really here really knows. I mean, a lot of people have, like, them near-death experiences, but
yeah, those are
who knows if that's...
Everyone's
everything is just so unknown. So it's like, even what we're talking about right now, like, we don't really know, but, like, it's an experience that it's almost so coincidental where it's hard to deny that it's, like, a fact.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like, I think what we can do in this week and what we can take away from this
is, I'm not saying, like, right after this, go talk to your loved ones and all that stuff, but, like, maybe have some peace in some of the things that might have happened, some things that still are hurting you. Yeah. Maybe start small.
Like, let them go. Like,
start small by just, like, writing to yourself. Like, that's what I did. I, like, just write to yourself. Write some of the things that, like, you would want to say out loud, but you don't. I mean, you could say them out loud, but, like, maybe just, like I said in the last video, like,
start tuning in with yourself more, and you'll tune in with the universe more. I've noticed
I feel like they just go hand in hand subconsciously. Like, I feel like the moment you really start focusing on yourself and the beauty in the world, if you are one of those deeper people that want to, you know, have signs from the other side or some form of guidance, that it's a way to kind of make it happen.
Yeah, and if you can't have all the answers on Earth, or even if you're a very logical person.
Or if you don't have anybody that you lost and there's no guidance needed, like...
If you don't even need guidance, it's just
then
like...
Then it's more about manifestation then.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day.
Yeah.
But, like, as you're on Earth, you get the experience of being a human and living on Earth and all this stuff. Yes, you need to let yourself feel those feelings. But if you can work to have peace in some of these feelings we feel, from grief to anxiety to whatever it is, to guilt, whatever it could be, then you can allow yourself to really live that human experience. Don't take your human experience away from yourself because of the past, because of your anxieties, because of your worries, because of grief.
And stop living your life a certain way because of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Don't live
try to cut out some habits. You know some of the bad habits that you have from something you might be holding a grudge against, or
just live freer and think of it.
You.
It helps me in my head if I literally think of it as like, this is the only human experience. If I lived another life, this is the only one I remember, right? So it's like,
I mean, Jesus,
I want to live the heck out of it.
You literally could have been born and you could have been a fish, and it's like you should be like, oh my God, I'm so happy that I was able to be a human.
Yeah, that was a weird time.
I know.
But just live every day excited, optimistic to live a human experience, and I think
of all things in life, the universe let you be
a human, right?
You know, you could have been a freaking gorilla.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool. But
and even through the hard times, it's just have that in your head,
I don't like these sounds.
No. Yeah, we are wrapping it up. But yeah, that was my punchline. Let yourself live the human experience. Take peace in the other side, in the signs of the universe. Use them. And we'll dive further into that one day. And try to start making peace with those negative feelings or those sad feelings, or find a way where they can fit in your life, but you can also continue a human experience.
If you are happier, you can live a happier life. Yeah. I'm not saying you're not going to have any bad days, but the less bad days you have, the more regret you have.
Or knowing how to deal with those bad days. You know what I mean?
You know?
Yeah, know how to deal with the bad days, but don't let the bad days become a bad life. Anyways, as always, everybody,
thank you.
Share the podcast. Please follow us. We have Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the video version's on YouTube if you're not watching it, if you want to listen to just the listening version. We have all the podcasts anywhere you find your podcasts. We have Facebook too. All those things. Follow us. Stay up to date. And please leave us a review.
Turn on the notification bell.
Yeah, on
every
YouTube.
Monday.
I feel like we're hitting so many different areas. But yeah, reviews. Let us know any stories you guys have. We'd love to talk about them. So interesting. Anything you want us to talk about.
We have no idea where any of this is going to ever go.
Yeah, it could be so much.
But we kind of want the audience to guide us in a way too.
Yeah, we want it to be community.
I guess we have a plan, but this is it's a safe space.
It's a safe space for everyone, and a space where we can bring all of our experience
together. Get a snack,
together.
listen to us, and
so next week,
dive a little deeper.
I guess we could give a little synopsis. If you come next Monday, start your morning with us next Monday. We are going to expand on an analogy that, let's just say, it will change your life. And if you're somebody that wants to open up more but doesn't understand why or how,
or where or when,
this is going to make it so much more clearer.
Yeah.
So, we're going to get woke next week. But, yeah, share, subscribe, and all the good stuff.
And thank you so much for watching.
Peace out. Wait.
What?
Indulge in yourself this week. Indulge in yourself this week. We got to end it like that.
Indulge in yourself this week.
Indulge in yourself this week.
How many times can I say it? Indulge in yourself this week.
All right. Peace out.